Previously on Forever Valley, Miriam, Portillo and Semra Barons began their new life in this fledgling town. Semra suffers from severe memory problems, frequently forgetting who he is, and is cared for by his wife, Miriam, who is mentally unstable, though not so much that she can't lead a normal life. Or as normal as it can be to have a husband who constantly forgets you. The positive side is that Semra always falls back in love with her, so Miriam doesn't complain too much. That adds a little spice to life. Together they started a family with their sons Juan and Bruno. But they are not the newest residents in town. Miriam has yet to decide if it's easier to care for her children than her husband. It's a tough competition for Semra and a lot of work for her. Luckily, one will soon become a child, which will be good for her, or at least that's what she hopes. She knows he wants to help and he's very loving with their children, but she would like him not to wake Bruno up so often when the baby has just fallen asleep. In her limited free time, she tries to gather ingredients for her elixirs, not always with good results. According to what she found online, wearing a swimsuit isn't the best equipment for dealing with bees, but she's still not convinced. As the sole breadwinner for the family, since Semra's salary at the bookstore is very low, she's willing to take on various jobs. Like delivering nice produce for Tom Rousseau. Whether those vegetables came from the Nothings garden, the man doesn't need to know. When she goes out to run errands, she takes the opportunity to collect space rocks and analyze them, since she's heard that this increases the chances of meeting aliens and she wants to befriend one. Why? There's no reason, she just wants an alien friend now. She can't seem to make friends with human Sims. She's certain that aliens will be more receptive to her personality. That's not the best way to start the morning. Miriam is starting to miss the psychiatric clinic. Although that same clinic was the one that taught her how to repair these kinds of things. Something to think about. Miriam continues with her elixirs, although she would like to have more time, since if she dedicated herself to them full-time it would be much more lucrative. At least now they're giving enough to gradually renovate the house, both in decoration and in slightly enlarging it, since with 4 Sims in the house, it was getting a little small. The next order of business will be to obtain not-so-cheap plumbing and appliances. The moment she had been waiting for arrived. Her eldest son was now a big boy, which took a weight off her shoulders. Taking care of a child is easier than taking care of a toddler, she was sure. Although she will always have to take care of her husband, who forgot he was at his son's birthday party while holding him. Juan developed the Vernude trait, which is weird, but not the weirdest thing about his personality. Or hers or her husband's, to be honest. Another thing he developed was a love for bygone eras, and he asked his mother if he could dress like people from prehistoric times. Miriam didn't see what the problem would be and quickly agreed. He also asked his father if he could read him something about that era, to understand how prehistoric Sims lived. Of course, Semra forgot what she was supposed to read and ended up telling him about photography. One didn't say anything and enjoyed the activity with his father anyway. Apparently, he also forgot that he had eaten cake and served himself a slice, only to forget again and serve himself another, and so on until he finished all the cake. Thanks to this, he's a little rounder, but Miriam thinks it looks good on him. Semra also forgot he was cooking and left the pan on the stove to go to work. Miriam was preparing more elixirs and hadn't noticed the situation. Now she can conclude that taking care of Semra is more difficult than taking care of her children. And the psychiatric clinic also taught her how to use a fire extinguisher. They had taken all precautions, which she appreciates, although she would have preferred that not all the responsibility fell on her. In the midst of all this chaos, it was Bruno's birthday. She had bought a cake and everything to celebrate, but cleaning and repairing everything had taken almost the entire day, and her little boy was left without a celebration. Luckily, he's too young to notice. The whole family was invited to the Nothing's costume party. Semra apparently genuinely believes he's an animal, and Willa Curly explains to him that he's a Thurian. Miriam noticed a hint of sarcasm in the girl's voice, but she must have misheard, since Willa is such a good girl. Since there was no one around, Miriam decided to try out the latest model bathtub from Nothing. After so much work and responsibility, she deserved something nice. Unfortunately, her adult birthday interrupted her. Couldn't it have waited a couple of hours? But her birthday wasn't the only one. Her husband is also now an adult. At least they can say they had a great birthday party, even if it wasn't theirs. Apparently, her family saw that she was a little stressed and helped her with the housework. She was right that Juan would be a great help. As a reward, she gave them both some bottled wellness. A few days later, the family was invited again to a party at the Nothing's house. But Semra told her to go alone and enjoy a few hours without any responsibilities, that he would take care of everything. Miriam was a little worried about leaving them alone, but the temptation to gather ingredients in the Nothing's garden was too strong to resist. Her concern was well-founded, as at that very moment the tap had broken and Semra and Juan were looking at it, not knowing what to do. Therefore they did exactly that. Nothing. When Miriam returned home, she realized she was right and that she couldn't leave them alone. Bruno was crying from hunger and Juan hadn't gone to sleep despite the time. And as if that wasn't enough, she then had to fix the sink. She loves her family, don't get her wrong, but she desperately needs a vacation. Or to pass the torch to one of her children. Lileo Greenland was always a shy and lonely girl, preferring the company of her own thoughts to that of other Sims. Perhaps it's because of her green skin and how people have always reacted to it. Whenever she enters a place, there's someone watching her curiously, not always with bad intentions, but always making her feel uncomfortable. That's why, when the opportunity arose, she didn't hesitate to buy a small plot of land on one of the secluded beaches of Forever Valley. Close enough to a small town center, yet far enough away to feel like she was on a deserted island. Lileo's intention is only to leave her house to buy the bare necessities to cover her needs, and then stay in her small house enjoying the solitude. Start a garden to have food so she doesn't have to go out so often. Spend her days painting no matter if it was in the rain, and enjoying her distance from civilization. It doesn't matter if it's autumn and the water isn't so warm anymore. Lileo enjoys the beach and the advantage of having it very close to her home. She always wanted to go snorkeling and now she can finally do it. What more could she ask of life? On the hottest days when the sun warms her skin, she goes out to explore the ocean on her windsurf board. Then she spends her afternoons capturing in her paintings everything she experienced during the day. Although she plans to make painting her main source of income, snorkeling brings in some extra simoleons. Something she often wonders about is where her green skin comes from. No one in her family has it, and even her parents had her genetically tested when she was a child to confirm she was their daughter, which she is. But the analysis didn't clarify the origin of the color. Perhaps they are descendants of aliens and it only activated in her? As always, she expresses her feelings in her paintings. Her solitude isn't as absolute as she'd like, since she still lives in society, which becomes apparent when mundane things interrupt her inspiration. Like the postman bringing the bills to pay. Although having a contact on her phone in case of an emergency is something Lileo understands is necessary, and the mail carrier seems nice, so he'll do. The man wasn't the only visitor. One of the residents of Forever Valley was strolling along the beaches when he passed by her house, just as she was making a still life painting of her dormant plants. He seemed very empathetic to her situation when she explained that she preferred solitude to the company of other Sims. He listened attentively and introduced himself as Adrian Russo. Then he left when he sensed she no longer had the energy to deal with other people. She said, very empathetic. He left by boat, which she found quite interesting considering there wasn't a dock in town. She also gets visits from stray animals, but they're welcome whenever they want. Perhaps she could have one as a companion? A cat would be ideal because they're more independent and need their own space, just like her. And enjoying her solitude and painting, Lileo's round comes to an end. Before we wrap up this episode, I'd like to mention that the Greenlands will be doing a modified version of the Isle of Midnight Sun challenge. The rules I'm following for the challenge are: play the challenge on a 10 by 10 lot. Starting money of 3,000 simoleons. No Sim in the family can leave the house. Also, I'm going to add that they can't visit the town unless absolutely necessary. I'm not going to follow the rule about looking for a spouse abroad since, as we saw in this episode, there will be plenty of opportunities for visitors. And now tell me, what did you think of the new Sim in town? Or how overwhelmed poor Miriam is? And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, bye.